my summer with Seth. It's told in the form of an email that a guy is writing his ex-girlfriend, and he's telling her about the summer that he traveled from Halifax to move out west. So he's on his way out to Victoria from Halifax, and so it's told in the past. Hey, I saw you the other day in the London Drugs on Yates and Quadra. I saw you and followed you around the store. Seeing you there got me thinking about that summer just before I arrived in Victoria and we met. I thought I should have told you the truth about it when we were still together. But I guess it just became one of those things. I like the mystery, how you called it the lost summer and made things up about it. I remember once you returned home from work, barged into the living room and yelled, "I know, you must have been harvesting abalone off the west coast of Australia," because you just read an article about it. So maybe after all that, I thought you'd be disappointed with the truth, because maybe the truth is nothing at all happened. Or maybe the truth is so strange that it'd be impossible to believe. You did know the basics. You knew that I just graduated from high school, I had a 30-day Via Rail pass, I had $1,500 to my name, and that I'd boarded the train in Halifax in late June. You could still smoke in the lounge car of the Via trains back then, so I sat there even though I didn't smoke, because that was where all the interesting people seemed to sit, the hippies and the bums and the backpackers. Seth Rogan walked into the car as we were cutting across the marshes on the border of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. He was in his early 20s, pudgy with reddish hair and splotchy freckles. He wore cargo shorts and an old worn t-shirt with an image of the Green Hornet on it, and he strutted through that car with confidence, joking with everybody, it didn't matter who. He had a Scrabble board under his arm and a cigarette behind his ear. Okay, it wasn't really Seth Rogan. No one knew who Seth Rogan was back then. But in my memory, that guy's become Seth. Perhaps it was the hair, or maybe the Green Hornet t-shirt. Eventually, Seth Rogan sat down across from me. He opened up his box and declared that he was ready and willing to whoop anyone at Scrabble. No one else was interested, but I said sure. I'd only played a few times before, but I started well, managing calumny on my third or fourth word for a double word score at that. Seth's brow wrinkled. He pulled the cigarette out from behind his ear and lit it. He mumbled. Not bad, kid. Then he declared, I know what the problem is, and reached down and pulled a little bag of weed out of one of the pockets in his shorts. You wait, kid, we'll get off in Moncton and have a puff. I play way better when I'm stoned, he said, and he refused to continue until then. In Moncton, we walked to the end of the train platform. We brought with us an Acadian girl who had boarded the train in Sackville. Younger than me, she had a blonde ponytail high up on her head. She was tattooed, a tree running up her neck, and pierced in her ears, nose, and brow. And she was intimidating because she was so big-eyed and pretty. Where exactly are you going? The pretty girl's name was Manon, which I was afraid to say because it sounded too French and I didn't trust my accent. Seth just went ahead and pronounced it man on, like the opposite of man off. I'm heading to Jasper to work and party for the summer, he said. I don't know where Cato here is going. Seth called me Cato right away, and I was too nervous to ask why. It would be days before I finally built up the guts to ask him about it. I tried to look into his eyes and shrug, but I had no answer. Jasper, eh? She said it with a barely contained sneer. There was something about Manon, perhaps the slightly darkened skin around her eyes, or simply the way she smoked the joint as though she'd done it many times before, that made me very, very intimidated. She seemed to know something about life that I didn't know. I was certain of that. Something important. Fucking center of capitalism, that place. I liked the way her accent emphasized the ing. It made it sound dirtier. Are you kidding me? Seth's eyes were all pools of glass now. A big stupid grin cut his face in two. It's party mecca is what it is. Nah, it's a tourist trap, a resort town, a playground for rich Americans and Europeans. Yeah, but that all sounds awesome to me, Seth said, looking dejected, his wall of good nature taking a hit. You gotta relax, Manon. So where are you going? I asked. That, she said, is a secret. I cannot tell you. Seth snorted. Man, you are one weird chick. Yeah, well, there's nothing weird about you, she shot back, and we stared at her, wondering if we were losing something in translation. Damn, let's retreat, Cato. Madame Moselle here is wrecking my buzz. Despite her apparent animosity, she stuck with us when we went back inside, maybe because we were the only people close to her age. She scribbled in a journal while we played Scrabble. Seth was right about playing high. By Rogersville, New Brunswick, he turned the game around. By the time we got to the Miramichi, I was asking for a rematch that even I knew I wouldn't win. It wasn't until 2 days later, while passing through the soul-sucking flatness of the Canadian prairies, when I finally found out where Manon was going. I'll stop there.